My sweet, lovely Aquariuses, this is your horoscope for June 2025, and June will make you busy at work and with your daily routine. For some of you, it will be month of healthy habits, my dear Aquariuses. Now, June will be big because we have Jupiter, planet of luck and happiness, changing signs. It changes signs every year, so it stays 1 year approximately in one sign, blessing that sign with luck and happiness. Now, June 9th, Jupiter goes into your sixth house, which is a house of work, house of health, and daily routine. And it will stay there until next year, end of June, June 30 to be precise. Now, I will make a separate video on this, but here I would briefly like to mention that you might want to recall back what was going on in your life back in 2013 to 2014. So June 2013 until July 2014, Jupiter was in the same place, in the same part of your life. So what kind of blessings, what kind of things were going on in terms of job, in terms of your career, in terms of your health situation, and also daily routine. Now, Jupiter, in your sixth house might bring for some of you guys long wished and dreamed job opportunity or maybe position, even like promotions, not even one, even like two times. So, until next year, June, you will have extra luck on, stars will be on your side to showcase your talents at work. Jupiter in the sixth house is also a blessing in terms of your health. You might be readjusting what kind of habits to include into your routine so that you keep going healthy. Let's say maybe you will change your eating diet, maybe habits, or maybe do sport like start running or going to gym. This kind of things might happen when Jupiter goes into your sixth house. Now we will talk about this Jupiter in your sixth house much in detail in that separate video, so stay tuned for that. Now let's move forward with June. June 11th, we have full moon, which is happening in your 11th house of friendships and wishes and dreams. Now, those of you who are born 7th of February, plus or minus 5 days, you will be affected the most because it's hitting your 20th degree. Now, here is the thing. I hope you know that not all full moons, not all new moons might affect you. That's why I am giving you those degrees that this full moon, like particular full moon or any new moon is hitting, so that you can check in your natal chart if that resonates, if you have any placements or planets there. If you do, then those lunations might affect you. If you don't, you might not even feel, there might not be even much going on, like something in your life. So listen carefully which degrees usually when I say. Now this full moon is happening at 20 degree of any sign, meaning if you have any placement of planet, that planet might play out. Now ruler Jupiter of this full moon, which is in your house of work, will receive harsh beams and from Saturn and Neptune. Now both of them, they are also newly in your third house residing. Now Saturn will be there for the next 3 years and Neptune will be there for next 14 years. If you've missed my video, I made separate videos on those two in your third house for all zodiac signs. Go check my YouTube. Here with this full moon, now those two, they will make harsh angle to Jupiter, not welcoming it from in its new home. But this aspect, I call it also opportunity aspect. Some of you guys might get a contract, for a job opportunity. Like full moon is a culmination. If those, especially those of you who've been in the rounds of interviews and maybe trying to land some job, let's say, and you might sign papers there because Saturn and Neptune, they're in your paperwork house. Now with Saturn there, seems like whatever you're gonna sign will be a long term. You're gonna stay at that position or at that job or with that particular client or with that particular project for the next 3 years minimum. So, and Neptune will help you to earn from that project. Now, for some of you guys, it might be the end of the contract. If it could be vice versa, depending on your natal chart. So it can be that you're going online. It can be your decision or not yours. Maybe companies going bankrupt, or you might receive this news that your contract is terminated, or maybe it's not going to be renewed. So either way, most probably that you yourself deciding to do social media, for example, because 11th house where this full moon is happening is about social media popularity. Maybe you are committing full time to your social media projects, whether it's YouTube channel, some broadcasting something, especially like communication, or maybe it's the Instagram page. So it seems like, or it could be that you are not quitting your job, but then you are going home office, for example, like working online, because 11th house is working online. It might be that you're working online or vice versa. If you've been sitting home working online, for example, those of you especially who are like, let's say, on maternity leave or paternity leave, or for some reason, for time being, you've got project which you are doing from home. Now that project will end and you will go back to office. So there is, you see, this topic of your work daily routine is touched. Now for some of you guys, if it's not about your job, it can be about a friend. Now that friend, might, let's say, exit your life because that friend played out its role, his or her role, and that is finishing, for example. And it could be related to money issue or some sort of let's say tension between you and your friend, as an example. Or it might be your friend's situation that you will need to help out with, like especially with job search, or maybe to help that friend to solve some issue, because this ruler of Jupiter in your sixth house, and the sixth house is all the, it's about solving problems house. So you might be involved in your friends issue there, helping out. Now 11th house is also house of kids. Now, this full moon might bring news of pregnancy too, because ruler Jupiter is in your house of health. Now, 11th house is also house of some big type of events, like especially, I don't know, concert or some game. You might, attend this kind of event, which will be most likely like work setup, like it might be for business, for example, like you are organizing some workshop for, or maybe because of the, like, in this company there is a huge event going on and you will be actively participating. 11th house is also house of achievements, and you might achieve something, like this full moon might put on you bright spotlight, especially for your work, for daily assignments, what you've been doing, and it might emphasize your contribution. June 17th, we have another huge thing going on. Mars moving into your financial house. Finally, Mars was acting unusual to to its movements. For Mars spends in one sign 2 months, but since September last year, 2024, Mars hasn't been anywhere else in your chart except for your house of marriage and house of work. So since September, you've been quite productive, my dear Aquariuses. In some in some type of period, maybe even procrastinating because Mars was retrograding. Because of that, it was going back and forth between those two houses, your seventh house of marriage and house, and also business relationship, and sixth house of work and health. You see, so Mars was making some work there, getting ready your sixth house for Jupiter to come and shine bright on your work that you've been doing. And it kept you busy since last year, September. A lot of assignments. You might have been, not even like seeing friends and family and traveling because you've been quite overloaded at work, let's say, at the time. Now, married, for some of you guys, you might have been also quite, active in your marriage situation. It might be that you and your spouse were building something like a house or renovating your apartment. So, or it could be you might have been getting ready for engagement or for marriage. So, and also business partners there. Now, seventh house is also house of lawsuits. Since September, you might have been quite also involved in some sort of lawsuit with someone, and especially those of you who've been, let's say, divorcing. But when Mars moves into your eighth house, now it will be about property division. So, eighth house is about mutual sort of money, or money that comes to you for someone else, like your husband or wife, or even about bank loans, debts, also taxes, alimony. If you're a student, then it's about your scholarship. Mars in your eighth house will energize this sector, and you might start investing into something beginning June 17th. This is new energy. Or you might start, let's say, process of conception, like the babies. For example, you've been planning to have babies, and now after June 17th, you might make some actual movement, like going to see specialists or doctors, because Mars is all things sharp, and plus Mars rules your communication house, and it's in your eighth house. You might start this topic of having baby and hold this fertility, conception, pregnancy journey. Eighth house is also house of health and like critical situations. Mars here might give you, if you've been planning to have some surgery, now those talks might begin, or even some of you guys might go under surgery while Mars will be in your eighth house, my dears. And also, it's about inheritance and investments. You might hear back from those things, and especially if you've applied for some loans. Also, you might get some news after June 17th. June 24, mark this day. It's a happy, lucky day. Sun unite forces with Jupiter in your house of work. Lucky day. So if you have, for example, if you're searching a job, then make it a point to have it, to have your interviews around this June 24th. Or if you have important like work project or something to present, do it around this day too, because it's happening in your work day. And also, you might receive amazing news related to your medical checkups or health sort of related news, which will light your up, because Sun conjuncts Jupiter in your house of well-being, my dear Aquarius. June 25th, we have new energy in your house of work. The same house is energized whole June. You see how energized is that? So Mars was energizing it since September 2024, but now you will get it even more with this new moon, sort of new energy there, new culmination for your efforts, let's say. Now, 22nd of January, those of you who are born around this date, plus or minus 5 days, you will be affected the most because it's hitting your fourth degree. Now, this new moon is a special one because it conjuncts Jupiter. the planet of, luck and happiness, and Jupiter rules your house of wishes and dreams. And new moon together with Jupiter will have support from Mars from your financial house. Whatever will be happening in your daily life, daily routine will light you up, for especially like with the job offer, or some project might spark your interest, and plus will have support from investors, and you might also earn some hefty money, one time payment sort of. Now, sixth house is also house of taking responsibilities, obligations, and this new moon might bring you some sort of responsibility which you wanted for a long time. And this new moon is sort of staged around your healthy well-being area, because new moon is in your sixth house and Mars is in your eighth house. Both of those houses about health. For some of you guys, it might be related to your health, and the news will be happy one. You will be satisfied with your doctor's conclusions, for example. Now, one hiccup with this new moon is that Saturn and Neptune again will send harsh beam to new moon, which they are in your third house of communication and signing papers. Now, make sure whatever you will be, let's say, presenting around this new moon, or speaking or having sort of conversation, that you are on the same page. Make sure that you have a clear rules and regulations and requirements, whatever it relates to at work or with your doctor, because it's staged around your health for some of you, and for some of you about some assignments, some work project. So Saturn and Neptune urging you to go through the contract. Make sure that you have someone to help you out with those paperwork. Now, always check your rising sign and moon sign, because those two play out also. And stay positive in June. Love you all. Bye bye.